wang it right, wang it left, and it hits Barbara on the head. Golf without fans. So
Chat about that without fans. I'm going to start eating my Star Bar during this. Here we go. Put this in the intro.
Upside down.
Star Bar.
Upside down.
Star Bar.
No, the other way.
Star Bar.
No. Hello everyone and welcome back into the Blow Pile podcast. I'm going to do the intro today because Joe is tucking into his Star Bar, as you might have seen in the intro. Today we are going to be discussing golf without fans, and maybe we might even branch off into maybe some other sports without fans and how that will affect the professional sporting world, if you like. Let's get on to it. Golf without fans. First of all, how long are we going to be without fans? I think on the golf courses, golf fans might actually be the first ones to come back, right? In an outdoor environment, rather than standing shoulder to shoulder at a football ground, for example.
Well, so I think this is really interesting. I think it depends. I think it's weird because I almost think that golf would be potentially one of the last to come back. And the only reason why is it's that freedom of movement.
Yeah.
In like a football stadium, you know where people are. So let's say we obviously know what's happening in the world at the moment that's causing this discussion. So let's say, for example, in a stadium, you might get this many people that get it in part of the stadium. In a golf course, every person that day could walk past this one person.
Yeah,
but then it's outside, so it's
an outdoor
How do you
environment.
social distance watching golf?
Well,
Go to Wentworth last year.
You limit the crowds. If you limit the crowds in an outdoor environment, I think that would be the most effective way. But in a football ground, you say that about the golf course, people walking past the same point and maybe touching something the same. But you get that in the concourse.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You go back at half time and everyone wants a beer, don't they? So
the interesting thing is, obviously, with football grounds, they could potentially space everyone out and sit so that nobody's near each other during the game.
They could, and then they could close the concourse
and exit in rows. But I think with golf, I just think it's hard with golf. And
exit in rows. Yeah, that just reminds me of primary school.
Well, it is, isn't it?
Right, year one's off you go. Year two's off you go.
Singing hymns, aren't you? Is that what it is? Something like that. But essentially, when you look at golf, so obviously a lot of this discussion is based around the Ryder Cup, isn't it? It's based around the fact that the Ryder Cup supposedly might go ahead with no fans. Some pros are for it, some pros are against it.
Somewhere in the middle, like me.
Yeah, the problem is if you turn up to the Ryder Cup and there's no fans, there's not going to be the same atmosphere that they're used to playing in. And it's interesting that guys like McIlroy have said the fans being there, and Poulter's a prime example, the fans pump them up to play this amazing golf. Is the standard golf then still going to be as good? I know the tournament obviously still means loads to them. I'm not going to say they're not going to try. But having that extra adrenaline of all those people chanting.
Yeah. I think the Ryder Cup's the main one, isn't it? So I don't want to discredit like normal PGA Tour events and normal European Tour events.
Not many people, is there?
But and there's not an atmosphere. It's relaxed. It's quiet out of courtesy anyway. But with the Ryder Cup, you want that atmosphere. It's really... Well, I know there is other team events within golf, but the Ryder Cup's the pinnacle, isn't it? And you want to have that atmosphere.
I was going to say, I think that's really interesting. So, especially if you think about like a normal pro event. Let's say, for example, is it the Dubai Classic that was played, that Harry played in? You look at the outside of those fairways, they're not lined with people. Yeah. You look at the Ryder Cup, it's literally a corridor of people.
Yes.
So, realistically, normal tour events probably could get away with having small crowds. But the problem is tournaments like the Ryder Cup almost need the crowd to take part. And then there's just too many people there. They probably aren't going to take that risk. So I think it'd be really interesting to see what they decide to do with the Ryder Cup.
Yeah.
I know obviously you can watch it on TV, but...
Yeah. I'm just trying to imagine what the BMW PGA would look like, or the 2010 Ryder Cup would have looked like without fans.
Yeah.
That would be crazy at Celtic Manor.
Who do they fist pump?
Well, it was built for fans, wasn't it?
Of course it was, yeah. And this is the amazing thing. A lot of people play the Celtic Manor course and go, oh, it's really wide and there's no scenery. And you're like, well, yes, there's no trees or anything because it's designed to have people lining the fairways and have these grandstands up.
Yeah, that's it.
That is what defines the holes, not trees. What have you got, Joe?
Just getting rid of a spider.
Oh, very good.
Don't really like spiders.
But guys, if for those of you watching this, let us know in the comments below. Do you feel that golf is, or the Ryder Cup, for example, should play with no fans? It's a tough. I mean, I'm sort of. I understand. Yes, the tournament's got to go ahead because obviously the timings and that sort of thing. I'm just unsure how it's going to work with no fans there at all. I'm just curious. Like when Poulter holds a chip that he always does, and he starts fist pumping, is it going to look a bit strange like your mate does in a medal?
It's going to be so strange. Relating it to football, we've seen a few Bundesliga games. Well, you won't have because you're not really into your football, but I've watched a few Bundesliga games, and when they celebrate a goal, it's just not the same. Like, I'm trying to put myself in their situation. If I'm playing German Premier League football, well, the Premier League, we're back soon, but if I'm playing a professional game of football when I'm used to being surrounded by 40,000 people and I score, I'm obviously really happy that I've scored for my team and everything else, but you kind of buzz off of the fans, don't you? So any sort of celebration is just muted.
It's like when on the odd occasion I go and kick a football round with my nephew in the local park. And obviously, I mean, he's only 11, so you kick it really hard and get it in the top corner and score a goal and it goes straight through into the hedge behind.
We won't talk about your footballing career on here.
but there's no one there. Like there's nothing for, you score the goal and you think, great, you wait for him to go and get the ball, bring it back, and he throws it back to you and that's it. But there's that kind of, there's no reason, there's no buzz.
Yeah, and that's relating it then back to the Ryder Cup. Let us know in the comments. So, but my stance on this is, yes, it can absolutely be played without fans, but it's just not going to be the same. I'm not totally against it being held. I think go for it because it would be great to watch on TV and there'll be some great golf played, I'm sure. But I'm not totally against it not being played, but it will be flat.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem. And then have they got? So where are they playing it this year? Do you know where they're playing it?
No. I really should.
Well, have a look now.
Hold on. Ryder Cup 2020.
Because I almost feel like wherever they're going to play it this year, the course would have to be awesome, and a course that wouldn't really suit having spectators. And then it might work.
Very sorry for the absolute golf nuts. I did know this. It's Whistling Straits.
Of course it is. I'm trying to think of that. It sort of suits fans there, doesn't it, really, at Whistling Straits?
I think any golf course that's been selected for Ryder Cup suits big crowds.
Tell you what, they should have taken it to. What was the course called where they had the really hard US Open with the railway track that runs down one side? I can never remember the name of it. You know exactly what I mean as well. I can never remember the name of it. People tell me all the time. I can never remember.
When it was all burnt out and looked a bit.
That's it.
Guys, I'm not going to bother Googling that. Put it in the comments, please. I can't
So that course is where they need to hold the Ryder Cup because it was just impossible.
Yeah.
And the fact that it was impossible and it's so undulating meant that actually you couldn't really have fans there. So this is the year to go, right, that's a golf course that could host it. Let's smash it there and make it so that... Because, I mean, what a good watch that would be. I mean, you'd quite happily then watch that on telly. And yes, again, a previous point still stand that, yes, the atmosphere isn't going to be the same. But you probably wouldn't want to go there and walk that golf course.
No.
In the nicest way. You're almost better off watching that on telly.
Yeah, 1,000%.
I mean, another prime example, they sold it at Salgados in Portugal. Now, I know that's a really obscure one, but essentially what they've done there, imagine that you've got a big pond, and all you've done then is raised some fairways and some greens out and some tee boxes. I mean, there's no rough. The whole golf course is fairway or water. So obviously that couldn't host a Ryder Cup normally. However, this year, that could be a good option.
What about Valderrama? That's tight.
There you go. But somewhere with fans, because fans, they couldn't all line up in boats. But you kind of get the point. So, I mean, with golf with no fans, if the TV coverage is amazing, it might work. But I almost do feel for the players, like, especially if it was your first Ryder Cup. I think that's quite an important point. If that's your first Ryder Cup, you've been dreaming about it since a kid, and it might be the only time you ever get picked.
Yeah.
And you turn up and there's no fans. And every other year the Ryder Cup's been held, there's been fans.
Yeah.
You might feel a little bit let down by the fact there is no fans to watch you hit your shots.
Yeah. And I think the main thing we're getting at here is normal tour events, fine, no problem.
Yeah.
When it comes to the Ryder Cup, it'll be flat, won't it? I mean, not to say that the PGA Tour events won't be flat, but it's difficult. It's difficult to explain, really. But one interesting thing, I know the cameras will be there, etc. But when you play these golf courses where the rough's up a little bit on the PGA Tour, for example, and these guys wang it right, wang it left, and it's Barbara on the head, and either bounces back in the fairway, or if it donks her on the head and it drops next to her, they found their ball straight away. Do you think we're going to see more lost balls?
That was really interesting. I think Brooks Koepka mentioned this and said we're going to end up losing more golf balls because, I mean, you will have had this, I've had this, and probably everyone listening's had this. You hit a drive what looks like down the middle of the fairway over a blind tee shot, and you get to the other side and you can't find it.
Yeah.
That's happened to me a lot. I had it the other day. I hit a ball in the left-hand side, and at Ilkley, we've got rough that's this long, so you can see a golf ball in it. Hit it up the left-hand side, never in a position you'd ever expect to lose a golf ball. No idea it went. Completely lost it. But in professional tournaments, it normally is that close to somebody. They know where it is.
Yeah.
And we won't have another Tiger moment where Tiger got all the fans to move that big rock. He'd have to trip out this time.
Well, yeah.
That's a really good point. That's a really interesting point. The other thing, and this is less from a golfer's point of view, but the sort of Ryder Cup themselves, they probably make a lot of money off selling tickets and selling stuff on the day, like the food and drinks vans and admission and gift shops. So
lots of revenue there.
Yeah, I mean, it can't be in their interest, surely, to run it unless they're going to start charging us to watch it on TV. If they're listening, please don't do that.
Yeah, we need some sort of entertainment. Although it does feel like lockdown's easing a little bit. By no means done yet. We're not going to know what normal life is. This maybe is the new normal, but it's difficult to tell. But that's for another day, and maybe not even on the podcast because it's a bit saturated now. That isn't it?
I mean, you've got the news if you want to catch up on that stuff.
Yeah, it's not something that I can really be bothered to talk about, to be honest, anymore.
No.
But today, talking about lack of fans, let us know in the comments. Do you think golf is going to be the first thing to come back with fans, or one of the last?
Because interesting, it came back first with activities.
Yeah, it's outdoor, isn't it?
It's outdoor, yeah.
You can take safer measures.
Yeah. All the measures that they might put in place to have fans there. So let's say they did accept fans at the Ryder Cup. What measures can you put in place to control a crowd of that many people? Like if you had 500 people turn up, that's a big gathering, even in terms of, 500 people now. If you had a gathering of 500 people, it'd soon get broken up.
Mm.
So it'd be interesting to see how you could manage 500 people on a golf course. The only thing I can think of is that they have a certain set number of people following each group. And each person then following each group has to maintain a certain distance, and they line the fairways at posts. Can you imagine putting out a post on every single fairway and got to stay? It'd be like queuing for Tesco.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how they do it. I don't know how they're going to do it, unfortunately. No. But if anyone of power is listening to this, I'm sorry, I haven't got any ideas for you just yet. Come to me in a couple of weeks. And
what we've established here, Joe, is that me and you are useless. That's what we've established.
Yes, that's it.
And I think on that note, I think we'll end that podcast there.
I think that's right. Hopefully you've enjoyed, guys. Another interesting chat. Let us know your views down in the comments. We've plugged the comments quite a lot there, but this is a big discussion point. And I think that normal PGA Tour events will be fine, a bit flat. Ryder Cup. Yes, it can be played. Still be a bit flat though, which not going to be the same, especially like Joe said about the debutantes. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed. Lots more comments, lots more podcasts coming up every Friday, and we'll see you very soon. Thanks very much, Joe.
Thanks.